Hi, I'm here at the Callaway office, Callaway and TravisMathew office. You can look behind me. It's a beautiful office here in Gurgaon. And I'm in conversation with Vidur Kumar from Callaway and TravisMathew. And I would like Vidur to kind of give his introduction to everyone who's listening to this little video of ours.
Hi Arjun, thanks for having me. I'm Vidur. I've been in Callaway for 14 years and I handle all things golf for Southeast Asia. It's my first time on a show, so I hope this can kind of make things work and give you more insight about Callaway and what I personally think of the golf industry.
So my little story with Vidur is that we met through a common group of golfers where we hold an annual team tournament, and Vidur's been very actively involved in that for a very long time. And it's a friendship that's grown over these last 3 or 4 years, and it's great to have him on this conversation. And I really enjoy and follow what he does and what the brand of Callaway has been doing in India and across the world for many years now. But there were some questions that I wanted to speak to him about and have this conversation about how a brand, a global brand like Callaway functions. What can people expect out of it? And I know it's one of the most liked brands, so people would want to know the inside of it a little bit. So, Vidur, it's great to have you. And obviously, we'll keep it very specific to Callaway and TravisMathew, but some straight off the bat, what I wanted to kind of ask you is that you've been in Callaway for a long time now,
I have.
and you generally look at the market which is outside of India, which is mainly
Absolutely.
Japan and other parts of Asia. So, how do you feel that business, or especially in terms of number of golfers that play in India, according to me, are actively around 250,000 to 3 lakh players as compared to countries like Japan or Malaysia or Thailand being a lot more. How does that compare to India, the business part of it?
Completely different, right? I think Southeast Asia is a very complicated market in itself,
Yeah.
right? You're looking at 6 countries from Singapore all the way to Vietnam, and each market is so different to each other. Some have a lot of expat influence, and some have a lot of local golfers. Some get out budding professional golfers, like I've seen in Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia. Actually, professional golfers who come out there, youngsters who come out from there. Japan, on the other hand, is much more like a mature market, right? They have the knowledge of the industry, the products, the multiple brands that exist there. And I can't really compare it to India because, it's so different to each other and no two markets are alike.
Yeah.
And the good part about India is it's a growing market, right? I have a doubt on the number of active golfers because, what is an active golfer?
Yeah.
And how do you categorize active golfers in that entire spectrum, right? Do they play once a month? Do they play once in a quarter? Do they play once in a year?
Yeah.
So who defines that?
Yeah.
And what are active golfers?
Yeah.
And then what are repeatability of those golfers, right? So completely different, but yeah, definitely a growing market in India.
Yeah. No, by active golfers, what I mean is, yeah, you're right. It's very difficult to define what an active golfer is. Active golfers are who go to the range or the golf course twice in a day as well.
Yeah.
And then there are active people who call them active golfers are that I play my one round of golf in a week. I think someone like you,
Yeah.
who spends more time indoors in a golf brand rather than outdoors, right? So, yeah, it's very difficult to understand, but I'm sure the product line or the number of options that we have in India would be slightly less as compared to what you have in Japan or Thailand, where there is more participation of golfers and there is more variety. Do you think what I'm saying is right, that do you have as many products and diversity in products here in India as we get outside?
Absolutely. I think India, we're fortunate enough to have a subsidiary in India, right?
Yeah.
In Southeast Asia, we're looking after a distributor market. So that's a distribution business. We report into Japan, which also is a subsidiary. So having a subsidiary in India, you have the entire lineup that is provided to the golfer here. And I think that's where some people or some consumers feel there's a gap, but that gap never exists.
Okay.
Of course, depending on the market size that we have to be a little more calculative of what kind of products are we launching in the market. But we have a very set pattern of, yeah, these flagship products have to be here. These performance-driven products have to come in. And, even though India has a very small size of golfers in the entire spectrum, but you need to cater to them. And we have the opportunity of having the subsidiary here, and we're able to cater. I think that's a great positive of being here and having that product line. So I don't see any differences. But yeah, of course, US is a huge market.
Yeah.
Right? Like number of golfers are like significantly higher than anywhere in the world.
Yeah, the number of golf courses, golfers, I mean,
Yeah.
that is the mecca of golf.
Absolutely.
And obviously the business, the brand thinks very differently over there, and you have to cater to the market, the size, the requirements of people.
Absolutely.
But one thing which I didn't know for a very long time was that Callaway is the only brand in India that operates itself as a company as compared to other brands which I think are generally run through distributors.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a very strong point for a brand like Callaway to be able to control the market. And I've generally interacted with a lot of professionals in all these different brands. And I feel that, Callaway somehow has got its ethics lined up in place. They have their margins cut out, which don't go very high. They are very specific on not being biased towards, distributors or clients or something like that, which I feel is very good. For me, connected to the golf industry, I think there is loyalty towards the right kind of people that Callaway shows. So what I want to kind of ask you is that as Callaway as a brand, what is the general motto? What is the general belief of Callaway as a brand? Like, what do you strive to do? Like, what is the general underlying statement that Callaway has?
Yes, so basically our motto is DSPD. So that means demonstrably superior, pleasingly different.
Oh, wow.
And our vision is to always make every golfer a better golfer. So I think in terms of that, firstly having a subsidiary here, having control over a lot of factors of the business, having our own supply chain here, having direct access to the US, we were able to get that entire service to our consumers in India.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we have a lot of products in our lineup. And it's confusing for the consumer, probably confusing at retail for a lot of people to see so many products come out. But, making every golfer a better golfer, you need to have products to cater to everyone's needs.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in the last couple of years. We also have Odyssey, our putter lineup. It's nuts how many offerings we have, the neck types we have, the faces we have, and we have different models coming in.
Yeah.
But it's so surprising to see the demand for those kind of products. And yes, you have competitive brands, they're doing well, and it's important to have competition in this market. It's very tightly fought.
Yeah.
It's exciting. You're challenging each other every day. You're trying to grow the game, but not grow the game.
Yeah.
It's so different, right? It's exciting times, but that's what it is. That's the beauty of having so many options. Some people say, there's so many products, but we do have those options.
Yeah. No, something that I've noticed over so many years is that Callaway is one brand that caters almost from absolutely beginner golfers moving all the way to the most elite professional golfers, with product lines ranging from the easiest of golf clubs to the most technically specific clubs,
Yeah.
which might not be great options for club golfers or beginner or higher handicappers, let's say. But the pros really dig it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a sense of loyalty that I see from Callaway users
Yeah.
who once start playing Callaway clubs. It's very difficult to switch them onto different brands, and I've seen it especially with professional golfers a lot. I think there is a sense of comfort and there's a sense of ease in terms of options they get. Like you said, the putter lineups. Every time I see, there is something new that Callaway has been trying.
Absolutely.
So do you think that Callaway is a one-stop shop for all types of golfers, or it heavily leans towards professional players, the equipment, or it leans towards, say, the beginner or the mid-handicapper kind of a golfer?
I think, see, we're definitely a premium category, but we're not elitist, or we don't try to exclude anyone from our entire portfolio of products that we offer. So when I look at it, like you said, it caters to everyone. So if it's catering to everyone, uh, we don't want to like segregate. Okay, this is what it is. This is what it. Yeah, we do have it in our own segregation of game improvement, super game improvement, performance driven, flagship products, entry level. So like I said, we don't try to like segregate our consumers that way, but of course we have products in that way catering to every consumer that has a requirement for anything that they want. Yeah.
So, just to ask you a question, so there's a guy who wants to start to pick up the sport, and as you know, there are a lot of barriers to entry into this sport.
Yeah.
For a long time and I'll talk more on the lines of India.
Okay.
Firstly, getting into a facility where a person can learn golf was very difficult because most of the clubs were private clubs.
Yeah.
They would not give you entry unless you were a member. A non-golfer typically was not really a member unless they had some family membership that was going on for the longest time. And they could get in. And then came the concept of private golf clubs as they started to kind of grow in number. And now we have independent driving ranges that make access to golf courses easy. But then also with that comes cost of golf equipment, which a lot of people are very misguided upon. They're it's like picking up a cricket bat versus picking up a golf set, right? Like the difference in price is a lot.
Absolutely.
So if there's a guy who's wanting to get into the sport of golf and has like, kind of playing golf for like say 1 month, 1.5 months, rental clubs, borrowed clubs, whatever it is, and now wants to get into a good golf set, what should be the kind of budget that they should be looking at in kind of investing for a good golf set, which obviously I'm not talking about the most premium line that you have, but good enough for a person to at least start enjoying the sport and not at the cost of having inferior equipment just because of the price. So what's that kind of budget someone should be looking at?
I think 85,000 or 90,000. I always tell people a couple of things when they want to get into golf. Firstly, get a great coach and make sure your foundation is solid.
Yeah.
A lot of people compromise on that aspect first and looking at price options when you want to set a solid base and foundation. And India has a lot of experienced professionals, very seasoned people. I've had the pleasure of interacting with a lot of them over the years, and the accessibility to them is very easy. And I think the normal consumer needs to first, appreciate what he has.
Yeah.
In India across brands and professionals that exist. From an equipment standpoint, everyone wants to start off with a pre-owned set or second-hand or rental equipment. But in order to enjoy the sport, you do need that first step. And that first step for me would be anywhere from 80 to 90,000. Because what happens is golf is such a sport where you need to sustain the sport yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to be making a purchase and then leaving that thing in your storeroom and then contemplating and having these visions of, agar main khelta ye hota, right? Yeah. But that's what I always say. Make that first step. See if you're interested in it, but make sure your foundation is solid. Don't just get into the sport, right? If you're getting into the sport, just go all in a little bit. Get your foundation solid.
No, there is a misconception amongst people who say that, okay, I'm a bad driver. Let me go and buy the newest Callaway driver or whichever brand driver that is out there, and it's going to make me a better driver of the ball. And I have these people come very often for a golf lesson, and they say that, I think I need to upgrade my driver. Whereas you can see something as simple as alignment or grip is not in place, and people run towards buying equipment. And what I've seen around also, honestly, is, a lot of ultimately these are businesses that people run, golf equipment businesses across different brands.
Yeah.
That there have been representatives, who try to kind of sell the equipment and tell the guy, leave out golf lessons. What you need is just better equipment. And I think better equipment only complements good technique, but good technique it starts with better technique, right? And then it moves.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in it for a long time, and I think I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Of course, being in an equipment company and an equipment manufacturer, I would want to say change your driver
Of course.
as many times as you can.
Yeah.
And but it is important to set that foundation, right? Foundation, set, patterns, practice well, learn the game, educate yourself. There's so much information available online, but you also have people to go to and like cross verify that information. It's very different looking at videos, at least for me, and then trying to pick up a sport. I'm sure many people have done it and have been successful doing it, but I'm a very old school guy in that way. I really want to have the right set of people around me when I'm picking up something.
Yeah.
And and I think no better place than India.
Yeah.
There are people all over tier one, tier two, tier three, across. And people don't realize how lucky they are to be learning golf in India.
Yeah.
And having that relationship directly with that coach, because then it becomes a community.
It does.
over time.
It does. So talking about professionals in India, I see Callaway is one brand that's, gone in, has got a lot of good players, men, women, coaches, and other experts of the industry that represent Callaway and TravisMathew.
Yeah.
As it's more than any other brand, honestly. You see a lot of good golf coaches, wearing Callaway apparel or TravisMathew apparel, and you know that they're associated with the brand. So, what's the vision of the brand in kind of having these people represent? Why do you think? How do you guys see it? Like, why would you want to get someone to kind of represent your brand in India? And how does one qualify for it?
I think there's a screening process firstly. It depends on the requirements, and we have, even though we're a subsidiary here, we have certain limitations of budgets, right? I don't want to get into too many details on budgets, but I guess every company has their limitations on things. And based on that, we try to like assess how things are working out. But we try to scout or look out at a very young level, right? I'm not sure if you guys know this, but outside India, there's also like a Callaway Next program that we have that you scout for young golfers and you get them under the umbrella and then you make sure they're training to get to the next level. And then once that level comes, then you're looking for the next, then the next, then the next, right?
That's how it's Callaway Next, right?
Yeah. So then you're just looking at how do you make sure they reach their elite levels. But if I look at India on that realm, it's slightly different there. We have always been supporting our players for a long time. We've got a lot of players in our portfolio, as you said, both men and women golfers. And it's, I won't say there's a criteria to it, but of course, performance led and performance driven individuals, who are striving to be the next big things. But we also do understand that, with the right equipment, with the right fitting, with the right guidance, and their capability, of course, we're constantly on the lookout.
Yeah.
And we believe in the long term game. If you look at our players, they've been with us
For a very long time.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
There's very less attrition in that sense.
Yeah.
And we're there for the long term to support them. And I think that's really important because in India, you have a lot of golfers, right? And that support is really required because you can't judge a person over 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's golf. No 2 days are the same. No year, 2 years are the same.
Yeah.
And there are ups and downs, right? And you just need to see how that person is, what the mental space is, what they're doing. And yeah, I guess things just
I
pan
feel I've interacted with Callaway or representatives from Callaway for the last few years now, and I feel Callaway is one of the most ethically competent brands, equipment brands or companies in India, in terms of always being on the lookout of supporting even junior golfers. I know that a lot of you also support a lot of junior golfers with equipment and apparel and accessories and balls and stuff. And also on the other side is that whenever we've wanted to do different initiatives around junior golf, the Callaway's really come out and supported the vision of different academies of, providing prizes, goodies, giveaways and stuff. And I think that's where Callaway kind of drills its loyalty and, its heart out towards the golfers of the country. And that's how people get very attracted. And I know, like, Callaway people, like people who play Callaway or once have been associated with the brand, it's very difficult to kind of sell them any other equipment or they will fight for the brand. They will kind of find ways and they'll show pictures of different players
Yeah.
across the world winning tournaments with the same equipment. So I think that is somewhere kudos to you and your team and everyone involved in Callaway here in India at least. And I'm sure it's like that globally because it's just funneled down over here that there's a lot of support, and I actually did not know about the Callaway Next program.
Yeah.
I think if we are able to do something like this in India and with the help of a global brand like Callaway, then I think it can do wonders and add a little bit more steam to what you guys have already been doing in terms of support.
Yeah, I think of the juniors, right? What I always think is that, as you said, drilling it into them, right? Almost like, the presence of the brand at a very young age. So you start associating with the brand a lot more. And it's not only just being present, right? It's also, like I said, giving them the right foundation and ensuring they're getting the right guidance, equipment, or whatever need be to again get to that next level. So, yeah, I see it a lot also. And like you said, people associated with Callaway don't really move very easily. Look at me, it's been 14 years, so I'm still with them. But yeah, still planning to stick on for a long time. And let's see how it goes.
So coming to that, Vidur, now Callaway has gotten a few experience centers in India that I know of. The most famous one that most people know is in KG in Bangalore. What is that entire concept about? Because I've not seen any other experience center specifically associated to a brand.
Golf has changed over the years, right? Earlier, I mean, I'm talking lots of years ago, you would just play your friend's equipment and then switch products. You would go to shops and pick products off the rack.
Yeah.
And the amount of data available today and the amount of nuances in every product, people have access to information everywhere. Online, YouTube videos, people reviewing products. And then after a point, you're like, okay, how do we service our end consumer? It's not a commercial setup, firstly. I'm not sending anyone there to, hey, if you go there, buy.
Yeah.
But you can go, understand your numbers, get a little more education or information about what's really happening.
It's really an experience.
Like it's an experience center. That's what we call it, right? We call it the performance center. You can call it the experience center. But it's totally data driven. We have GC Quad, we've got Trackman, we've got the works over there. We've got our brand ambassadors positioned there. We also have two of our employees in the south, and because it's a very good base to have, and that entire center just provides consumers, with access to understanding the game better. And it's so simple. Just go there, get a booking done, book it for half an hour, understand where you're lacking, understand how your numbers are tracking.
Yeah.
And then you make an informed decision. We're not asking you to
go buy it.
Go buy it. Yeah. Go there, have that experience, understand yourself, your game better, and then it's your choice.
Yeah.
You have access to data, and then you're an informed customer.
Yeah, I mean, in today's time, getting equipment without the right kind of data, I think, and I also feel that without wrong equipment leads to bad habits in a golf swing.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you are someone who does not have enough speed, but you're playing with a shaft that's too heavy or too stiff for you, you end up getting into positions in your golf swing which have been driven because of a wrongly fit equipment in your hand. Hence, going into these experience centers or performance centers is an important thing. Do you plan to expand the concept of performance centers in India?
I don't know whether Callaway is planning to do it, but if you ask me personally, I think there should be at least one in every metro, according to me.
Yeah.
Just from an accessibility point of view, and one with that kind of setup, because it gives golfers access to the facility without making the hard yards necessarily to go to that particular center. But I mean, ideally, that's something that we would want to get into. I don't know whether we will, but I think from a personal standpoint, I think it's very important to be there. And not only in the metros, actually, you might also want to go a little more deeper into India in different states to assess, like, what is that upcoming talent also. Because we also want to take that data and understand, what are the kind of golfers coming into the facility? What are their requirements? What are they really trying to achieve?
Yeah.
And, what can we recommend? Can we make them a better golfer? Can we make everyone a better golfer? And I think nothing like data, right, today, to give them that access.
Right. Nice. So something that one product that I've been following very closely for a very long time in the last few years, Callaway has also gotten very bold on the ball.
Yeah.
Generally, what everyone would always play was titleist balls. Obviously, that was the preferred ball, especially amongst the professional space. But I follow a lot of the data in terms of what players, what kind of equipment people are playing. And we've seen a massive shift on a lot of people move into Callaway balls. Even the players who are not representing Callaway equipment have started to put the Callaway ball in play. So what are the major what are the major models that Callaway is looking has come up with? How has suddenly the ball become? Because I feel people don't talk about ball fitting, right? When people talk about they only talk about getting better clubs. They really don't know what ball they should be playing.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, this is the softest ball, but might not be the best ball for you. You need something which is a little bit different as compared to someone else.
Yeah.
So how's it on the ball?
So from the ball series, like, we invested a lot into the R&D in the golf ball manufacturing plant. I think this was probably now it's about 10 years now. I'm assuming it was 2016-17. We invested about $100 million in this R&D facility in Chikopi, and we started doing a lot of R&D in the golf balls because we felt that that's a space that we know we're capable of kind of getting into, and we also knew that we were capable of creating those kind of golf balls for toe professionals, the mass market. Because again, if you look at the golf ball category, the entry level, then there's the performance level, and then there is toe.
Yeah.
And then we start rebranding our golf balls, right? Because consumers are like, what did they play on toe? Was it Chrome Soft? Was it Chrome Soft XLS? What was it? So we just made it Chrome Toe series. So you have the Chrome Toe X, and then you have the Chrome Soft. And then we've got like the mid level, which is the ERC Soft, the super soft category. And then we have the entry level, which is the Warbird, right? But we've invested a lot into the R&D. Our market share has gone up tremendously over the last 7 to 8 years.
Yeah.
We have caught up with competitor brands. And a lot of people have started putting it into their bag because, like I said, it's demonstrably superior, pleasingly different, right? You're constantly trying to improve what you have. And with that investment, you're learning a lot more about players from player data.
Yeah.
And like you said, consumers are not aware of that golf ball at all because they just want to put something in their bag because it's the thing to put in their bag.
Yeah.
And they want to change their driver. They want to change only their driver is what I see.
Yeah.
But they don't look at the rest of the aspects of your clubs, right? No one's looking into putters as much. Wedges. They're not looking at their short game at all. They're not looking at the ball they're using. And you could be whoever you are in whatever realm of your scoring is, but you need to have the right set of equipment, and only information that the consumer can help. At the end of the day, see, it's a consumer choice.
Yeah.
And we can only educate the consumer or educate anyone else that this is why this ball is in the market and this is for this particular kind of player. And frankly speaking, if you're talking to a high handicapper, they have no clue what the ball is even doing once they hit it. It's only that, 0 to 9 handicap who are aware of exactly how the ball is functioning.
How is it reacting on the greens? How does it feel on the face of a club?
Because consistency comes in at that level, right? When you're so inconsistent and enjoying the game, you're not looking at the finer details.
100%. Yeah. That brings to the most interesting question everyone looks at is you have new drivers coming in. And I think Callaway, in my opinion, dominates the driver market. I think firstly in terms of versatility of the heads that you guys have, that Callaway does. And I personally find them kind of easier clubs to hit. I don't know why. It just feels easier without losing distance, without losing control, without and because of different models, you have different spin rates that come. You've got the low spin heads, you've got the bigger heads, which is not for a very fast driver. I'm sure there is something new that's coming in the market that most people don't know about. But like probably, but like every season, so this is what every brand does, that every season or every year there's a new brand that comes in, and currently you have your quantum series that's doing pretty well, and then we've seen the era of paradigm, and then AI smoke, elite. So how does this driver technology get better each and every time? And you still see a lot of players still repping older models who don't really want to shift because they've become really comfortable with it. So how does driver technology, because people are always looking at the new model I'm going to get. Every time there's a new model launch, they want to kind of get a piece of it. So how does the brand think about it?
See the developments every year, right? And I don't want to make this sound too cliche, but uh, we don't launch a product unless we know it's ready for the market. For consumers, it comes out every year.
Yeah.
Our planning is probably 5 years down
Yeah.
the line already, right? And we invested again into, AI very early, one of the first brands probably to invest into the supercomputer and get as much data across all our facilities, put into the system, different data points, different sweet spot areas, a different kind of golfers hitting it all over the place. And our face is different for every driver, by the way. It's just not the head that's different,
It's
or
the
like
face part
the
of it.
face also, because then that set of consumers has a tendency of hitting the ball a certain way or a certain area. And those kind of areas are maneuvered for that kind of golfer.
And I think that is something that you only get to, or you get better information once you reach an experience center.
Yes.
And you have all these different faces because you have the same driver in different models with a different head and a different face.
Yeah.
But the consumer actually does not, or the player does not really know which one works for me the best.
Yeah.
In which shaft combination, at what length, and at what setting on the driver head,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, bang on. And I think that's why fitting centers are really important. And they are, uh, you know, it has to be almost ingrained that just go and get fitted. What are you waiting for? You're watching YouTube videos and getting all this information and doing what about it? Right? Go and check it.
Yeah.
Check what's happening to you. And don't only check your driver, but check everything possible, right? But coming back to the point of like driver gains or, we launch every year. I used to change my driver once every 3 years. And I'm not kidding. I've changed from AI Smoke and I moved to Elite and I'm now gaming the Quantum. And it doesn't always have to be yardage gains. It doesn't always have to be smacking at 8 yards, 10 yards longer. Yes, you do see those improvements because that's how far AI has gotten.
Yeah.
It's become a lot more easier with a lot more data points to be able to create something that has that additional benefit.
Yeah.
Or a value add to your game, right? But for me, when I shifted from Elite to Quantum, I did have certain yardage gain, but for me, my dispersion went down.
I think that completely changes the game, and
Yeah.
that's what people don't realize. They just see that how far it is going,
Yeah.
but I personally feel that the bigger gain is in also the controllability of the ball.
Yeah.
You're in more control of your shot. You're in play a lot more, which ultimately creates opportunities for a player to hit the green that many more times and convert those into putts. And that's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, and there is a significant driver gain, I know I'm part of the brand and I would question myself every year. I said, wow, again, a distance increase.
Yeah.
And then, and as you said, some players don't want to change certain products because they're probably not getting what their vision is of
Yeah.
that, or either their ball flight or whatever they want that product to do. They're not probably getting it right there.
Yeah.
And it might not be, it might be a minor change for them, but not too much to make that switch.
Yeah.
And make sure the game is still consistent because they go, they're going on tour, they're playing. You don't want to suddenly change
Yeah,
equipment
of
in the
course.
middle of a tour and try to get it in. But like when you have that fitting done and when you have the right spec, because we have toe professionals uh, prior to the events, mostly at all the events, uh, some tweaks actually work. And you've heard of stories of guys putting drivers in the bag and winning,
Yeah.
or finishing top 10
Yeah.
or top 5. I mean, there's stories like that, but
Yeah.
if I have to generalize it, then people can always tell me, you know what, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But there's always a, a little section that exists and who believes that, okay, this is changing my game, and okay, this is not changing my game. And then, in order to strive for that right product, you either wait it out,
Yeah.
or you make that change.
Yeah. So that brings me to my last question. I look around the room surrounded by all this beautiful apparel, which is TravisMathew.
Yeah.
And TravisMathew is a brand that is also owned by Callaway, but is a separate brand in itself.
Yeah.
That comes out as TravisMathew. Callaway also has its own Callaway apparel.
Yes.
What is the major difference between the two brands, and like what are the hero products of TravisMathew? Someone's looking at getting this.
So actually, we bought TravisMathew in 2017 is when Callaway acquired Travis, and we wanted to run it very separately. And I think the commonality of that was not because we got it under the Callaway umbrella, we need to make it like this. We wanted that DNA to stick. And with Callaway apparel, it's more performance driven, meaning that you've got like swing tech and different other aspects and moisture wicking and antimicrobial treatments to it so that you play on the golf course.
Yeah.
It's slightly more polyester based, more breathable. But TravisMathew, on the other hand, is a completely different DNA. We call it work and play. It's active lifestyle.
It's off course and on course.
Yeah, you can go take it on the course. You want to have lunch, you wear it for lunch. You want to go for a meeting, you can wear it for a meeting.
Yeah.
You want to be on a show, you can wear it on the show, and then or having a conversation, have dinner.
Yeah.
So TravisMathew is, I think it's a beautiful synergy because it's almost, transforms the golfer into into his active lifestyle, and it's just a seamless transition between both.
Yeah.
And totally different apparel, right? And hero products, I think, I don't want to specify anything because I think it's very a personal choice.
Yeah, it's a personal choice.
We have winter wear, we have, really cool t-shirts, we've got jeans, we've got like the entire lineup.
Something that's really stood out for me is the caps.
Yeah.
I think TravisMathew has been really, really creative with the caps,
Yeah.
with all different kind of stuff, all different kind of funky stuff written on the caps, which just kind of makes it interesting. But at the same time, having a good amount of variety of subtle stuff. And I think the time we are in, golf apparel, I think overall is going through a revolution where it's getting away from only performance to more lifestyle as well. A lot of homegrown brands in the global space now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great for golf.
I think that also brings a lot more people into the sport.
Yeah.
I think fashion is an important part of the game, of the sport, and you got to feel good. You got to look good to be also able to play good, feel more confident.
Yeah, I think it all starts, with choosing what you want to wear prior to a round.
Yeah.
Your mood is set for that round.
Yeah.
Your mood is set for the day.
Yeah.
And, just a little anecdote. My dad always told me this. He said, always dress well when you go to the golf course. Make sure your first tee shot and last approach needs to be the best because that's when people are watching.
Yeah.
And in the middle of that, you're just with your friends having a great time.
Sure.
So, in terms of that, like, you need to feel good, right? And this is feel good apparel. It's, when I started wearing Travis, I've just changed the entire wardrobe to Travis because it's so easy to get in, get out of, go to the golf course, change, move around.
Yeah.
And that's what the brand DNA was, they wanted to create something that you can wear on the golf course and not really have to maneuver it or change and then just quickly get out, catch a quick meeting and then head out somewhere. And, and Travis is a solid, setup also in the US. It's like a California based brand. That's why you have a lot of beach wear, Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of designs cater to that. And they've got a really clean thought process,
Yeah.
and it's a really creative thought process on how they want their apparel to function, how they want their apparel to look, and how the apparel should be perceived for the consumer.
Perfect. Thank you, Vidur.
Super,
It's been a great conversation,
Thank you
and
so much.
so much insight into Callaway as a brand and TravisMathew as a brand. And I think it's really important for me to, have these chats also to kind of get my knowledge up to the mark on how businesses function or how every brand sees the space of golf very differently.
Yeah.
And also get it out to so many people who want to listen, want to know, are really loyal to the brand, or they really like the brand, or they really find it very aspirational to be associated with brands.
Yeah.
They really need to know what goes behind it.
No, super. Thanks for having me, and I'm hoping that people do get some insight of how Callaway runs and what our thought process is of the industry, the people, and how things work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So that was my conversation with Vidur Kumar from Callaway, and now we move on to another conversation exposing Indian golf and the real players that are making a difference, brands that go an extra mile to help golfers to build the sport that we love, and keep on following for more conversations.